but in terms of like the current housing market, and inflation numbers, because you've mentioned that it peaked October, was it 25th?
8th, I think.
28th that it peaked. So, and you've said this before, and it's true. Like, so it's a 12-year moving average.
Yes.
About it, because, and this is what I think a lot of people miss when they think of inflation. They're
12-month moving average.
Correct.
Yeah. You said year, but it's fine.
Sorry, 12-month moving average. Because what a lot of people don't think about is the shelter inflation.
Right.
Right. In terms of
it lags.
Exactly. So even the inflation numbers we're looking at right now, the fact that it's been declining since October, it's lagging because, and a big part of that, we talked about all these rental properties, because rent leases are renewed every 12 months.
Right.
So a lot of the housing expenses are done annually.
Mm-hmm.
So the numbers are naturally going to lag because of that. So, I mean, where do you think that means going forward in terms of the Fed? Because they're still talking about raising rates and everything like that.
Well, they're going to raise rates,
right?
And they aren't raising interest rates; they're raising the Fed fund rate.
Correct. I mean, yeah, because you have speculation. Everyone knows that rates are coming down sooner than later, so
and they're going to continue to fall.
They're dropping just because everyone's expectations on where it's going. But why do you think the Fed is still raising rates on their side?
Because they're dumb.
Even though it peaked in October, and even though we know for a fact that a lot of these numbers are lagging.
I have another TikTok. It's a 3-minute hit piece.
Yep.
On Esther George. I think she's the Kansas City Fed president. And then I also mentioned the Minneapolis Fed president.
Yes.
In there. I think that they are dumb. I think that they don't know what they're doing, or they're trying to hurt the working class people on purpose. I don't think that they understand the lag effect. So I say May 10th that you'll really see the inflation numbers start to come down. Like, they've already come down, which is impressive because of the lagging rents. And a lot of, for whatever reason, leases, a lot of them are signed between October and like February.
Yeah. Which is strange. You think summertime.
February, March. Yeah. But anyways, long story short, the inflation. So if you look at the numbers, inflation is actually down, and it's trending down, and it's going down, which is helping interest rates go down. But shelter costs are actually up, and it's because, like you said, those 12-month leases being signed and things of that nature, right? Yeah. I think by the time that we get these new lease agreements in, you'll start to see that shelter costs come down over the next 3 to 4 months, and by May 10th, you'll really see that May 10th inflation report. That's when you'll see the number really drop. Now, regarding the Fed raising the rate, they're going to overdo it and cook the economy, meaning they're going to put us into a recession. They're saying, what, a quarter point, so another 50 bips.
Right.
I think they need to stop.
I agree.
I mean, I don't understand what they're looking at. Here's the thing, though, and they might be just a little bit smart. What's the rest of the world doing, right? I don't think the rest of the world was raising their rates, their equivalent to the Fed fund rate. I think when England did it, it helped us.
It did.
But a lot of the rest of the world isn't. So maybe they're seeing that the rest of the world isn't, so they're hitting us here. So so us as a working class is getting hit harder than other places as a working class.
And I don't think people realize how much that helped us with England doing it too, because like it was about to shock the economy almost.
Right.
Because that was one of the first times they raised it up by 3/4.
Right.
And the economy wasn't ready for that. And if England hadn't followed suit, I mean, we might be talking a lot of different things right now.
Well, you have to think that we're on the same page with England.
Yeah.
I'm sure there were some conversations that were had, but they didn't. We have a way of publicly disclosing things before it happens to get everybody ready so that they aren't shocked. I don't think England did that. But to answer your question, the Fed doesn't know what they're doing if they continue to raise the rate.
Right.
So they want it up to 5.4%. They want it to peak at, is what I saw. So,
which is wild. We're just below 5 right now.
Yeah, we're below 5. So they want another
half a point.
So, and that was the Minneapolis, and then the Kansas City chair, Federal Reserve President, Miss George said over 5%. Here's the deal, man. She's worked in that office for 40 years. She's 65 years old. That's the forced age of retirement, and she's the Federal Reserve President. I just think that that's wild that these people work for the Fed for 40 plus years in that type of role. It just doesn't make sense to me.
And the Minneapolis chair, like you mentioned, I mean, he's the one that wants to run the economy like you run Uber.
Oh yeah, that guy's a nut job. How these people are considered experts is beyond me. I think they just go and they work at the same location for 40 years and then they become an expert. They don't actually have to go out and do anything.
Yeah. So, but you think that this may even be intentional because the jobless, and I think we talked about this last week, but I don't know how much of that's getting out about the jobless claim that dropped down to 205,000. And I know you have a lot of thoughts on that in terms of like the different sectors and where that.
Yeah, you have to pull the numbers apart, man. So they're saying that the jobless claims have fallen, but guess what happened? Guess what else fell? Do you know?
What?
The number of hours worked. So more people are working, but less hours. What's that say to you?
Because people are trying to find any job out there because
they lost their jobs.
Job that they actually need.
Exactly. So service industry, restaurants, and things like that nature, they're gaining more people, but they're part-time employment, so people are making less money, so less money is going to be spent. We're in a recession. They just haven't told us yet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we are in a recession that they have not told us, and people are like, oh, well, you're optimistic. Yeah, because I have to be, right? I'm optimistic because looking at the numbers and understanding the economy and understanding the market that I work in and live in and so on and so forth, I should be optimistic because that's what everything says to be. We know when we should be coming out of this. We know when this is going to be turning around. But as far as, jobless claims are down, freak out, raise rates. That's dumb. Pull the numbers apart. If the amount of hours worked are down, that means less people are making less money. They should be looking at how much money are people making, how much money are people spending.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
That's how you stop inflation. Stop the spending of money. Also, stop printing money. We talked about it.
Thing.
$1.7 trillion.
Yeah.
$1.7 trillion. I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. There's just something about people who work for institutions like the Federal Reserve. I'm not saying that they aren't smart people, but a lot of your third-party people who don't work for a big Federal Reserve like that, it's like they're more knowledgeable about what's actually happening.
Exactly. They are almost out. It's almost like politicians. Like they're out of touch with the everyday person.
Right. Because they're in bubbles.
Once they get to a certain level. Exactly.
We talk to people. Think about this.
Like because we're talking about the employment rates because that's part of the reason that the Fed keeps raising the rates up, and we think it may be intentional that they're trying to do this, is to cause more unemployment, to push that number to a point where we hit a recession, because that is going to help inflation as well.
But we're in a recession.
Correct.
But they won't admit it.
With inflation decreasing.
Right.
And they want to do this to a point where it's going to cost people jobs because they think that's going to help
people jobs.
Exactly. But they think it's going to help inflation even more reduce.
So do you think
by costing more jobs?
So do you think that they're lazy? That's the question. This is what it comes down. Are they just so lazy they don't pull apart the CPI report?
Or they're so out of touch that they don't realize
or
that
the jobs
this is
number,
people's livelihoods.
Or manufacturing. Manufacturing is definitely in the recession. Look at the manufacturing numbers. Like, that's a recession.
Look at the mortgage industry.
The mortgage industry is down too, but the mortgage industry is like down because of refinances, right? So purchases are still decently strong.
It is.
I mean, but I'm also in a bubble there too because I do purchases every day and we have a lot of business.
Right.
Right. So
if you were smart, you had your business structured
purchase
for a purchase heavy.
Right. And then, but yeah. But I mean, you also have to staff up to still for refis.
You do.
So it's one of those things. But what I'm getting at is they're going to drive us into a deep recession. It's sad that they're going to do it. I wish they wouldn't do it, but they're going to do it because they aren't going to take their foot off the gas. And they mentioned that they want to keep being aggressive and they want to keep pushing. And they want to keep pushing. And they want to keep raising rates. To what point, though?
So, and I want to say this, though, as to not be negative. But when we say recession, though, we're talking about a slowing of the economy. We're not talking about 2008. 2008 was a depression. This is not like that at all.
It was a depression, yeah.
So, things are going to slow down, but it's not necessarily the end of the world. It's not as bad as what everyone's probably thinking.
Well, if it was so bad, do you think that J.P. Morgan Chase, Lennar, BlackRock would be buying all of these homes up?
They would not be.
They would not.
Do you think the construction industry would be putting more job offers out there, hiring more people right now?
No, we're almost out of it. The light's at the end of the tunnel.
Exactly, because they are gearing up for the next 12 months when we're through this and when things are going in a more positive direction.
Well, the other piece of this is then you start to wonder, is this a coordinated effort? Because look at how much wealth transfer there was. Like look at how much wealth transfer there was with savings decreasing for people. It's almost been cut in half since this all started. Look at the wealth transfer with the massive printing of money. Look at the wealth transfer with these big time billion-dollar corporations buying up these houses, and now the wealth transfer is going to be from purchasing your home, gaining appreciation, and paying down the principal to now you're paying these major corporations. Is this a coordinated effort and attack? I don't think so. That's a big time conspiracy theory. A lot of people are like, "Oh, this is the new world order." Da da da. And like, listen, I see all that stuff. A lot of people who pay attention to what's going on see that stuff. But I don't think so. I don't think that they're that organized. Yeah. I think that there's a lot of FUD being pushed. So you have your politicians that. Elections are coming up, whatever's happening, you have the Fed. They don't want the inflation. They don't want, oh my God, inflation is so bad. They don't want that in the headlines. So what they're doing is pushing, oh, we could be going into a recession. We could be doing this. We could be doing that because they're trying to scare you. They're using fear to stop you from spending. And then you have the corporations who have some very smart people working for them that they pay a lot of money to help continue to build their portfolios saying, this isn't that bad. Here's why inflation's up. Here's if we pull the numbers apart, here's what's going to happen. You should buy more homes because that's going to be a great investment and you're going to make money long term.
Right.
And so I think it's like two separate things that a lot of the politicians and the people who are putting this FUD into the market, it's causing a equal reaction, and it's scaring everyday people. But the corporations have people who are smart enough and do this every day, who dig into the numbers like you and I do, understand we're almost out of this. Right. So they are buying up homes and single family rent and targeting millennials and so on and so forth because they know that there's an inventory issue, supply and demand, and we're almost out of this, and we're going to start seeing more appreciation. And we're still projected to see a 3% appreciation, right? So that's what on a $300,000 home, that's $12K.
And probably at least in certain areas like the Charlotte, North, the Carolina area.
Right. Don't tell them I don't want them down here.
Yeah. But anyways, and kind of going off of that too. Like, I mean, we have a friend that's in commercial construction.
Right.
I was talking to him a few weeks ago, and he was telling me like the last 4 or 5 months, it's been the busiest time like that they've had in years.
Right.
Why is that? Because businesses know that they are expanding now. They are putting their resources into work now.
Yeah. When everybody else is running, press the gas pedal.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
That's how you get big. That's how you continue to grow your business. The big corporations, some of them don't do that.
Yep.
They'll cut jobs or repurpose jobs or do whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I press the gas.